now let's go into the mock draft and our advice to some teams and where they're drafting, who they should draft. We're going to go through this. We're putting some graphics on the board right now so you can get a feel.
We're going to rock out with our mock out right now, so watch out.
Do you want to just go through our top 10 and then talk through them real quick?
Sure.
All right. So why don't you tell the people your top 10?
Oh, my top 10 are I've got Jabari Smith Jr. going to the Magic. Then I've got Chet Holmgren going to the Thunder. Paulo going to the Rockets. I've got Keegan Murray going to the Kings next. I've got Jaden Ivey going to the Pistons.
Interesting.
I've always seen him in that jersey for some reason. Just seemed like it was going to fit. Shaden Sharp to the Pacers. I've got a trade. I feel like
What
there's
is
going to be.
this?
I feel like there's going to be 2 trades within the top 10, but I took a stab at one.
Dang it.
I traded. Portland's moving. The Wizards are moving up to take Dyson Daniels from G League Ignite.
Okay.
And then the Pelicans are taking Johnny Davis. I've got the Spurs with Jalen Duren. And then the Blazers, who swapped with the Wizards, are taking Nikola Jovic.
That's a reach. Okay.
And that's my top 10.
All right. My top 10, I got the Orlando Magic taking Chet Holmgren. I have the Oklahoma City Thunder taking Jabari Smith. I have Houston taking Paolo Banchero. I have Sacramento taking Jaden Ivey. I have Detroit taking Shaden Sharp. I have Indiana taking Keegan Murray. I have Portland taking Jeremy Sokan. I'm the national pundit. I don't know how this gentleman's name is pronounced. We saw him at Baylor. I got New Orleans taking A.J. Griffin. I got San Antonio taking Jalen Duren. And I have Washington taking Benedict Mathurin.
So
let's talk through it.
Well, let's talk through the fact that this graphic is wrong on our screen. That's why I'm so confused.
Well, we'll change it for the real screen for the people. But
right,
yeah, I made a change. You took my first view, and then I made a change, and you didn't see that. So
go ahead and tell me why you think we're going to trade him then. Because that's the only reason you would draft that guy number 1.
Well, no. We decided that we're doing this based on what we think will actually happen.
Okay.
And so originally when I approached this mock draft, I had Paolo Banchero number 1 because that's who I want.
That's who you want.
That's who I want the Orlando Magic to draft. I want Paolo Banchero because I think we need another facilitator. I mean, Cole struggled to do it as the A guy last year. Markelle Fultz is a facilitator, and I think he can be a deadly scorer. You know, Franz is really good off ball. Hopefully we'll see the ball in his hand a little bit more. Jalen Suggs really kind of struggled with the ball in his hand with turnover issues. So he's kind of a question mark in terms of a guy who can make something happen. And outside of that, am I forgetting anyone? We don't really have a lot of creators. And so Paolo Banchero, I think, fills a need as a creator. Something off the dribble. But this is not what we're talking about right now. We are talking about the mock draft. And I believe, sadly, for you, Pish, that the Orlando Magic are going to take Chet Holmgren.
You believe that in your heart of hearts?
I believe that in my heart of hearts. Let me tell you why.
Wow.
Let me tell you why. Because I just feel it. You know, with the Weltman-Hammond front office, they love those lanky guys with huge wingspans. And based on Hammond's comments at the Combine, where he was talking about, you know, we want to get a guy who could be a rookie of the year, but that's not really important to us. What we're looking for is a guy that's going to develop and be a really good player down the end of the road. Doesn't have to be the best player, but we want him to be, you know, develop into a really good player. He dropped develop a couple times, and that's what really got me thinking.
It got me scared.
Are they setting us up, the fan base up, for a Chet Holmgren pick right now? It kind of sounded like that.
I thought it was a trade down.
It could be that maybe, but I really felt like the fact that he was mentioning multiple times that we're looking for the best guy long term, not the best guy right now necessarily, that got the goosebumps going, and I think that guy is Chet.
That's the exact opposite of who that guy is.
No,
if he's going to be good, he's going to be good in the first couple seasons because he's still young and he can probably bounce back from simple things like twisted ankles and stuff really easily. But like 4 or 5 years from now, he's going to be broken down. 6 years from now, he might be on a team's bench just taking up salary.
It's not what Weltman and Hammond think.
I got to believe in my heart of hearts the Orlando Magic are not going to waste their first pick on Chet Holmgren. I think they realize that there are some question marks there, and you don't have a question mark player when you're drafting number 1. You want to be confident in everything that they've got in their bag. except for being friends with one of your current players. That should not be a factor here. I heard some guy on Fox Sports that's a Magic fan talking about how important chemistry is. And it is important. Yeah. But the chemistry stems from your team leaders and your head coach. And we already have that in place. So whichever one of these guys joins the team, we're not looking for that from them. They don't need to mesh. They're going to just mesh in because we've got a good thing going. Everyone's in a good mood. Like, I feel any player who's not toxic themselves could come in and just blend in with this group of guys. It's a good group of dudes.
It's a great culture. We don't need culture help.
So I don't feel like it's worth it for that aspect, and I just don't see any pluses that put him this high. And to be honest, I went with him too because we're doing a mock draft, and I have to go with what I think is going to happen. But talent-wise, I would have him much lower in this draft. I wouldn't waste a top 10
You had him
pick
Jabari Smith. You had him picking Jabari Smith.
I do.
Chet.
I do.
Oh, okay.
But Chet is second to Oklahoma City, and I just feel like that's what they would do.
Yeah.
Not that that's the best move.
Okay, so let's go to Oklahoma City. I have Jabari Smith Jr., Chet Holmgren. I think Jabari Smith Jr. is actually a great fit for the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think he's going to slide in beautifully to some of their existing playmakers. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Giddey are both, the ball-dominant guys. And Jabari Smith Jr., from all reports, does not need the ball. From watching him, he can play off ball. He's a great shooter. And I think you put him in there with what they've got with Shai, Giddey, Trey Mann, Luguentus Dort, JRE. They're starting to brew something there in Oklahoma City. And I think they just need a center, and they're going to be hitting the ground running. Well, we're going to see some more wins from OKC this year.
Potentially. I don't put a ton of thought into what Oklahoma City is doing. They need players at pretty much every position as far as I'm concerned.
Except guard.
Except for maybe guard.
Yeah.
But with these three guys at the top, any three of them would plug and play with them and be good to go, which is the same reason why with the Rockets, I have Paulo going there, but now you would have
I got Paulo going to
well.
I have Paulo. Okay. We both have him going there. Yeah. I mean, just because
he's the next best player,
right?
He fits a need for them.
Yeah,
he's going to work well. And look, that could be a scary team, the Rockets, with that group if they all continue to develop.
They have got a pretty good core. Their culture was kind of in shambles early on, but I think they got that ship righted. They have a good center in Christian Wood. Jalen Green, as the guard, came on hot at the end of the year. They also have Kevin Porter Jr., another guard. Your best friend, the witch doctor, Alperen Şengün, is a very solid man at the center forward position. Kenyon Martin Jr., Josh Christopher, a forward and a guard. So, I mean,
I'm almost a little envious of where the Houston Rockets are, to be honest. If I am just being totally honest, I don't like that we got the number 1 pick. Because there are so many ways that it can be screwed up. And there's so many options and stuff like that. Whereas if you're sitting second or third, you just take the best of what's left, right? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where I thought we were going to end up in this thing. And that's why I was thinking, we get Paulo because he's going to be around at 2 or 3. And that's what we really need on this team, so we'll get him. And who knows? Maybe they'll still take him first overall. I mean, I like his game. I'd be very happy with either him or Jabari. So I feel like you could make a case for any of these top 3 switching around. And I don't think anybody would slap you across the face and say you're dumb. So
right. You're right. I mean, I think they lucked out getting in the top 3. That's where you wanted to be in this best of 3 draft.
Right.
They won't have to think about it.
The best way that we can make use of having this number 1 pick, for me, immediately, is if they somehow get some sort of a trade going and either trade the pick or they need to benefit just other than getting to pick first because no one's really sure who the best is.
Well,
right?
That's the thing in
this
draft.
If there's a way that they can get even future draft capital or a player or something like that.
Well, don't go into the trade cage yet, sir.
Well, I won't, but
step
just
out.
Know,
yeah,
I'm lacing them up.
All right, so those are the top 3 guys in some order. We'll probably go like that on draft night.
Yep.
Next is Sacramento. I've got Jaden Ivey going there because
our next 3 we just alternated them.
Flip those ones
but
again.
We kind of feel like those are the next best 3 players.
Yeah, I mean, I went Jaden Ivey over Shaedon Sharpe for Sacramento just because I don't know really jack about Shaedon Sharpe too much, but in watching his high school film, he seems like he's a point guard, even though he's a pretty tall guard. Maybe he can play 2 guard, but it seemed like he needed the ball in his hands. Watching Jaden Ivey, the way people talked about him as this Ja Morant-like type of player, I thought he was a point guard, a ball-dominant guy. But when we watched some of his games in the tournament, he's like a 2-guard. He plays off ball really well, and I think him next to De'Aaron Fox would be a nice match.
Agree. I think Jaden Ivey is more talented than Keegan. I honestly think Jaden Ivey could be one of the top 3 in this draft. Personally, I'd rather have him than Chet Holmgren.
He's going to be playing with a chip on his shoulder too.
But he is going to be a great player. I just felt like Jaden Ivey doesn't fit what the Kings are looking for quite as much. I feel like they've got their 2 guards that they kind of feel good with, good enough that they got rid of Halliburton. So why would they draft Jaden Ivey unless he was the best thing left and they were further down the draft? Now that they've moved up, I don't know. I feel like they were scouting guys in the middle, though, so they probably fell in love with a Keegan Murray or a Shaedon Sharpe, like you're suggesting.
Yeah.
So that's probably just the route they're going to go.
But. Well, you worked in trades, which was unfair because I did not know we were doing that. But I think that this draft is going to have definitely some movement in the top 10 because you got a team like Sacramento who's now at 4. And they want to win. I mean, they just made a move trading away, as you said, Tyrese Halliburton, a very talented, second, now he's going to own his 3rd-year guard.
Yep.
And for a guy in Domantas Sabonis, who is a very talented big and a win-now type of guy, pairing him with De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, they haven't made the playoffs in like 17 years or something like that.
Yeah, it's close to 20 years.
They're kind of like...
They want to make the playoffs. And so are they going to pick a guy at 4 who is a high upside guy? I mean, most of the time these guys at the front of the draft, they may not be the most NBA ready guys, but they're the ones with the most upside.
Right.
Sometimes they take a couple years to develop.
Sure.
Do they want that, or are they going to make a trade for a guy like John Collins, who they've been linked to, or Detroit is trying to move off of Jeremy Grant? So are they going to move those picks for guys like that and try to get more talent to win now? I think they probably will.
It's possible. I was looking at some trade options for the Kings, but I just kept it lower on the draft.
You kept it lower. All right. So
I didn't want to mess with the top of the draft too much. Because, I mean, I think, and we both feel like these are the top 6 players in the draft. Obviously, we kind of mixed them up there a little bit. There's definitely some other guys lower than this that could go higher, but I feel like those are going to be the first 6 names that you'll hear. Where they land could be differing, depend on who goes 1, 2, 3, but, it'll all work out.
Yeah. So then Detroit, you have Keegan Murray, is that right? No.
Detroit, I have Jaden Ivey. For some reason in my head, when I hear Jaden Ivey playing in the NBA, I've seen him in a Pistons jersey.
Wow, it came to you in a dream.
I've always seen it. It just, I feel like he's going to end up there. I thought that before the lottery. I just thought somehow he's probably going to end up there. And, man, with him and Cunningham, those are good 2 building blocks there. Like, the Pistons could be trouble in a few years.
Honestly, I like the rationale I just gave for Jaden Ivey to Sacramento playing off of De'Aaron Fox even more with him playing off Cade Cunningham. But since he's off my board, I just have them getting the next best player, a high upside guy, because they're even kind of a step behind us in terms of rebuilding. They need as many talent guys as possible, and Shaedon Sharpe could be that guy, perhaps the biggest upside of the draft. They've got Cade, they've got Sadiq Bey at the forward shooting guard, they've got Marvin Bagley, they've got Isaiah Stewart, who I really like. They have Luka Garza. We have an autographed Luka Garza if anyone out there wants it. That we unboxed on Card Cousins. But they could use some more playmaking, so Sharpe could feel that. But again, I think that Detroit could be making some moves here. You know?
If there's a team in the middle that we make a trade with, I could see it being Detroit. Yeah. I could see them wanting that number 1 overall pick. There was someone they liked. They thought they were going to be in the top 3, and they're not, and they want them. How bad do they want them?
Yeah.
Are we getting Sadiq Bey in their 5th-round pick, and are we comfortable with
Jeremy
that?
Grant?
Or are we going to just do the draft? They're going to take Jaden Ivey and then swap him to us. I don't know what scenarios could possibly play out. But the Pistons, even though they're in the 5th spot, they're still looking good. They're still going to get a prospect that's going to mesh with their team, and they still can make some moves if they want to. So despite there not being a lot of guys you look at and go, oh, that's a surefire Hall of Famer, there's still a lot of good pieces and good players in this draft that teams are they need.
Yeah. All right, next is the Pacers. You have them taking Shaedon Sharpe.
Yep.
Next best player. Any other rationale on that one, Pish?
No. Just sort of feels like he could easily go top 5, and, well, here I was at 6. So.
Yeah, so you got to put him in there.
And the Pacers need a lot of pretty much everything. So they need upgrades at positions that they think are filled.
Yeah.
And they're doing a whole rebuild thing, and when you rebuild, this is how it goes.
Yeah, I don't think they need a guard, though, because they got Halliburton. They have Malcolm Brogdon, although he's been tied in trade rumors. They have Chris Duarte, who was on second team All-Rookie and was kind of the surprise of the draft last year. And I know those guys aren't necessarily game stoppers, except Halliburton. He's a guy that maybe they're going to build around. Right. They also, of course, have Miles Turner on that squad. So I just really like the fit of Keegan Murray. They have a guy much like we do in Jonathan Isaac and TJ Warren. This is a guy who had an awesome bubble and then got injured. I don't remember exactly how, but hasn't played since.
Oh.
And
did he write a book?
No, he did not write a book. Okay. No, so he's not quite the same as RJI. But I think that drafting a guy like Keegan Murray who can play that 3-4 wing position would be some insurance for TJ Warren at a cheaper cost, and I think he'll slide in well next to those guys that we already talked about: Halliburton, Turner, Brogdon, and Duarte. It's a solid squad. With the second year of Rick Carlisle, I thought the Pacers were going to be the breakout team last year, but maybe
a lot of people did.
Yeah, maybe this year is their year with the second year of a coach, although they had a lot of turnover.
They don't need to break out. Teams need to be in the lower half.
Just be consistent. Fine. Yeah.
Teams need to finish 12th.
I don't want them to break out. Because if they break out, we can't break out. We're the ones breaking out.
We're the ones breaking out. Screw them.
Yeah. So who'd you have going to Portland now, Pish?
Well, this is the trade where I have the Wizards trading up because I think they're loving Dyson Daniels. I've seen a lot of stuff on him recently. He had a good combine. Obviously, he was playing in the G League Ignite. Those guys are good players.
Yeah, pros.
Just seems like the kind of fit that would be good there, especially if the Wizards are losing Beal. They're going to need somebody to hang their hat on. And at 10, they may feel like they're not getting that guy, and they may want to trade up. And this may be an overreach. They may not need to do this, but they might do it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I like what you're thinking here because if anyone's going to trade, and this is why this top 10 I just feel like is going to be an exciting draft night, and that's why we need to get our butts to Brooklyn, Pish. We're over here in Connecticut. If we have any folks out there listening to this podcast and you're in the tri-state area, we'd love to organize a meetup before the draft, get a big crew of Magic fans there and just go crazy because I think it is going to be an interesting night.
It is.
Portland does not want anything to do with this pick. I mean,
doesn't seem like it.
It's kind of a team in disarray. I am not at all jealous of where you are right now, Portland Trailblazers. I apologize to the fans. I'm not.
Portland's
jealous.
A nice city.
A very nice city. I love it. Very, very chic. If you want great tater tots, you can get them there. There's just like that weird hippie town where it's everyone, everyone's a connoisseur of something. It's that weird type of hippie town where if you want linguine, there's a guy in a bus making the best linguine. Okay. If you want the best tater tots, as I said, there's a guy with a little shack that's making it up, and he's got.
I don't know if I've ever had a bad tater tot, so I don't think I need to go to Portland for that. But
okay, yeah.
Okay,
the example
I get that they have variety.
I
get that they have variety.
Okay, all right, we're moving on.
Linguine from a bus sounds interesting.
But really, the fact of the matter is, Lillard wants to win. He wants to win. I don't think the GM that stepped in and made those trades at the end of last season did them any help. What pieces do they have? They got Anthony Simons. Yep. Who is a good young player.
Absolutely.
But then, Josh Hart, also a pretty good young player. Nazir Little, Keon Johnson, Drew Eubanks, Justin Winslow, Joe Ingles. Who are we? I'm not excited about that. Nurkic, their center, is a free agent this year. Are they going to re-sign him? There's a lot of question marks.
I mean, I like that Dame is trying to stick with Portland and try to make them a winner. That. I respect that. I'm all for that. Obviously, you get familiar with an organization or a town and you want to live there, you got your family there, all good.
Yep.
But don't make statements that you want to win a championship when they're doing very little to help you. I'm almost feeling like he's saying this so that in a couple of years he can change his mind and be like, well, I just asked them to bring some stuff in and they didn't.
Yeah, I don't think anyone will begrudge Damian Lillard for leaving after this season if they don't make drastic
he could leave
changes.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure.
People will be like, it's all good.
And that's why they need to trade this pick, and they probably will. But because I didn't know about trades, I have them taking Jeremy Sokan. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, bro. I know you're watching. Out of Baylor. We saw him play a little bit. Kind of a crybaby. I don't really seems like a hothead a little bit.
Right.
But
He's got a motor.
Yeah, the intangibles are kind of there. Yeah. He's got the athleticism. He's that 6'9", long arm wing.
Yep.
Super good on defense with some offensive upside. I mean, you've got Damian Lillard, so you got the offense pretty well handled.
Yeah. That
right?
feels like a smart pick, though, and this is clearly an organization not doing smart things.
Okay, right you're right. So that's
you made a good pick for them. Maybe you should be the GM.
Hey, I think I would have done a better job than whatever that guy did last year. All right, so what do you have for Portland, Pich? Do you have them trading this or?
Well,
you did.
We did 7. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
We're on 8 with the Pelicans.
Okay.
And I went with Johnny Davis from Wisconsin, and I see you've got AJ Griffin there. I think those are similar bags.
Yeah, pretty much. I think Johnny Davis brings a little bit more playmaking, but with CJ McCollum there and Zion coming back potentially point forward, I thought they more needed a guy like AJ Griffin to shoot and play D.
Yeah, I mean, New Orleans is in good shape, man. If they come back with Zion next year, they looked real good this year in the playoffs.
Yep.
They've got a good thing going there. So whoever it is that they add in this spot is going to just basically become a bench role guy probably. I mean, unless they develop into a superstar, which would be great for them because they've already got a bunch there. So they're good.
God, this has to just grind Portland's gears, though. They trade away C.J. McCollum to try to get some assets, and then the tank, and then the team they traded him to is playing better, and they're picking right behind him in the draft.
Well, that's kind of why I picked them to jump ahead, so that they could at least get whoever they thought New Orleans was going to take. They could just snag.
I don't know. This New Orleans pick is from somebody else, though. I believe. I don't know if that's their pick. I'm pretty sure, but maybe from. I think that's from the Lakers. From the
Anthony Davis. Yeah, I believe it is.
So next is San Antonio. I have them taking Jalen Duren.
As do I.
Okay, we both have it. You can't win with Jakob Poeltl as your center.
You can't.
They've got some good things going with DeJounte Murray. I'd like to see him throwing lobs to Jalen Duren. The guy's got a motor. He can play down low. Great defense.
Spurs known for big men, drafting big men and having it go well.
Yeah.
This just seems like a fit that they need.
Yeah.
They could even move Poeltl to 4, probably.
Yeah, I don't know Poeltl's game too much. Does he have any type of ice
outside?
Yeah,
he can shoot.
Okay, all right. So then last we have Washington. I have them taking Benedict Mathurin. I figure with all the uncertainty around Bradley Beal, they'll need a guy who's dynamic and can score. I could have put in Johnny Davis in this spot too, though. Just a guy who can get a bucket.
Absolutely.
I like Benedict Mathurin for that. Great shooter too.
Yeah, I like Benedict a lot too. I actually have him going 11th, even though we're only doing the top 10 here today. But at number 10, I had the Portland Trailblazers from the swap with the Wizards going with Nikola Jovic. Been hearing a lot about this guy.
That's a reach,
and I'm not looking for it, but it's kind of coming at me, and I feel like it's only gonna heat up. Like all the good stuff you're hearing about this guy continues. His name sounds a lot like Nikola Jokic, and apparently his game is similar as well. He's more like a point center, which, as you can see, has worked well for the 2-time MVP. So I think other teams are going to really want this, and I could see that the Blazers could think, well, that's kind of a guy we want.
Yeah.
If we can trade down and still get him, let's do it.
Yeah.
So even though it's a little bit of an overshoot, maybe at 10 right now, they'd still do it because it's considered they're wheeling and dealing. They don't care. They're eating linguine at trucks.